everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Between Sermons. I'm the host, Brent McQuay. I get to be the lead pastor here at Disciples Church, which is a lot of fun. But this podcast, what we do is we take the monologue from Sunday's sermon and we turn it into dialogue, kind of like what you get out of small group time, right? Where we get to go a little bit deeper, get a little bit more practical, kind of dig through what was preached on Sunday. And right now is really exciting for us because we are right in the middle of the book of First Peter. Mm-hmm. And so great conversations about to happen. But in order to have a conversation, I need people to talk to and talk with. And so, Taisha, how you doing?
I'm good.
Are you ready for this conversation?
I really am, because I have my girl here, Tiff Hines.
Hi.
Joining the conversation.
Happy to be here.
Yes, always a pleasure.
Thank you.
But you said that you need someone to have a conversation with. I don't think so. I think you can have a conversation all by yourself.
Talk to myself.
I really believe.
I don't know. Is that a question of my mental acuity? Is that a?
I don't know.
Brent's got some personality things going on. He can just have a whole conversation by himself.
Yeah, I don't know, but
that might be true.
I think it's true.
And I'm over here like I can't see it.
You can't.
No, I can see him just.
The way he nerd out.
I could very much just sit in silence.
Yeah.
No. You can have a whole. He will be able to talk to the audience like they are. Like it's like a whole audience right there, but it's just the camera. He's good. He's a good communicator. That's what that means.
Is that what it was? A compliment.
It was a compliment.
I thought it was another insult.
No.
But it was
a backhanded compliment.
No. Okay.
Okay.
Bring some light to the matter.
But no, I think Tiff's probably got it a little bit more accurate. I could very much just sit there in silence, and silence doesn't bother me.
You know, I think it bothers me, which is probably why I like laugh or something.
Oh,
when I was an intern, we did all kinds of fasting things, but they would try and like throw in like random weird fasting. So we were in the middle of a 5-day fast, total food fast. And like on day 3, they're like, okay, we're doing a 24-hour silence fast in the middle of this.
Yeah.
And like literally the people around me were like pulling their hair out. Like they were just like, this is torture. And I'm like, this is great. This is so awesome. Nobody came and bothered me. I just sat. I read my Bible. Right. I took a nap. I walked around outside. Like it was wonderful.
Man.
And like people like walk by and they're like, they try and like make faces at you like to communicate stuff. And I'm like,
that's a long time.
Man.
That was beautiful. Best 24 hours of my life.
Are you going to call for a staff silent day?
There are silent retreats out there where you spend the weekend.
Like, today we're not talking as a staff. Could you imagine?
Like, is that legal?
I love it.
Oh my gosh. So so how have you been enjoying First Peter so far, Tiff?
It's been good. Like each chapter has just been, I think with Peter, he's just getting right to it.
Very direct.
Very direct. And so for me, it's been a pretty easy read.
Okay.
Because of it being direct and him also explaining himself.
Yeah.
Right after things. So, getting to chapter 3, I think because of it being so practical, that's probably why I read it so many times.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Cool. What's been a takeaway for you, like a biggest takeaway so far?
Okay, so last week I need a refresher. First week of Peter was.
So we did. Go ahead.
No, please. I would love to hear your
the recap.
I was just gonna go. I was just gonna lay out how you presented.
Okay.
So we did the intro, the first week.
Right. I'm like, I got to remember what I did Friday.
Right, and then we did chapter 1, chapter 2, and now we're at chapter 3.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna talk about what I've learned so far in chapter 3.
Okay.
It's the freshest. So, of learning the he said 4 different things.
I think was it 4 or 5?
5, like five. Takeaways. 5.
The 5 takeaways.
Yeah, so it was love and honor your spouse, sympathize with each other. Oh man, see when I'm not the one preaching it, It's
It
hard
is-
to,
yes, it
to
is.
rattle them off the top of your head.
No, and
I'll
I
pull up my app,
actually
too.
have lots of notes today.
Uh-huh.
So I'm
Okay.
going to be reading
So
from my
always
phone.
be ready and respond to God are the last two. What's the middle one? What's
Yes.
watch your
It's the
words?
watch your
Thank you.
words.
It was that one.
That, maybe it was like subconsciously. I didn't want to do that one, so that's the
Oh,
one I
we're going to
forgot.
unpack that
Okay.
then.
Got no problem. Love and honor your spouse and sympathize with
Watch
each
your
other.
words.
Watch your
Watch
words.
your
I have a
words.
joke for later.
Okay,
so.
good. We're
Just
going to
later.
attack you there. No.
No.
Okay,
That's why I want that silence fast. Then I don't have to watch my
Starting
words.
today.
If you don't say anything, you don't have to worry about what you say.
Right, right. So you said those points.
Yeah, those
really stood
points.
out.
Yeah,
Okay.
they were good, and I think as we'll explain more, but
Yeah.
just how each one of them hit. Like, I'm not married, and I know that Peter 3 is speaking heavily on
Yes.
marriage. But of course, like with the Bible, so many things apply just as you treat people. So yeah, I'm looking forward to diving into
Yeah.
all of those things, respect and honor. Just something that he mentioned in explaining what honor was, like in the Greek, was oh my gosh,
And Pastor
It
Brent
escapes
can't even
me.
save you 'cause it's not his
I
message.
know. He-
And it was
Pastor-
very broad, like the definition of honor.
Right, it
when
wasn't
and it wasn't just
specific to-
specifically like honor the word, but it was like in application to how do you honor your spouse. And so it was like part of it was like active listening until she feels she's been heard. My wife might have elbowed me at that point.
I was just
may,
saying,
may,
it
may
was,
not have.
but that kind of awe that he didn't use the word awe, but in a way that honors that. So say like if she came into the room, in those reminders of how to respect and see her, of I'm so thankful for you, I'm so blessed, those type of things that would not hinder blessing. So yeah.
cool. So I definitely want to unpack and get your perspective on, like, because I feel like First Peter is just very relevant to what we're walking through right now in culture in our time. So I definitely want to unpack that. But before we do that, you are the only pastor on this platform, so you have to give us the summary. For Peter, give us your version.
Summarizing
of-
1 Peter 3.
Yes.
No, I think PJ, those 5 actions, like that is the kind of the breakdown. So
Yeah.
like he starts about talking with the relationship between a husband and a wife, which is a carryover from chapter 2. So chapter 2, he's talking about this honor piece, and it's all institutions, all those in authority, slaves to master, and then he starts chapter 3 with in the same way.
Yeah.
And so that's his therefore, not his therefore, but his continuation. So anyways, so you got the honor your spouse. Then there's a piece in there about sympathizing with one another,
Yeah.
that we're in this together. Like this isn't like a us versus them. It's like, hey, we're together in this.
Yeah.
So that's where that sympathy piece comes in. And then he goes into the power of your words, and not to repay evil with evil, not to repay insult with insult, but choose blessings instead. So we got to watch our words. Then he has what is my favorite apologetics verse: always be ready to give a response for the hope that you have, an answer for why you have hope, and do so gently and with respect, which is sometimes lost in modern debate and modern conversations. And then it kind of closes with what is, PJ even talked about how it's like one of the most controversial verses, not because it's like people don't like it, but controversial in everybody interprets it a little bit differently, because it talks about Jesus going and preaching to people long dead. And so there's a lot of theological, like, okay, what did that look like? When was that? How did that take place? And Peter doesn't really give you a whole lot. He just kind of moves on. And it leaves you going, wait, what? What was that?
Right.
Which is always funny to me because Peter's the guy that says that Paul is hard to understand.
But yeah.
And then the most debated verse in the Bible is something Peter wrote.
Yeah.
So
it makes
it's kind of like, yeah, Peter, Paul's real hard to understand.
Right.
So are you.
Yeah.
And so, but it closes with this analogy of Noah and those who were saved by Noah's boat in the flood, and then he connects that flood water to water baptism, and how it's Christ who saves us. And so the basic point of that is we need to respond to the gospel.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the progression of the chapter is into those 5 key takeaways.
Yeah. And I like how we said last week, this is a letter. So that's something we kind of talked about last week on the episode of Between Sermons. It's like, this is one big letter that Peter, not Paul, Peter is writing to the church. And so now we're just in that part of the letter where he's addressing marriage and husbands and wives and how we should use our words. And so I definitely want to start at that point because he opens up with addressing husbands. And so the scripture I wanted to kind of like start conversation with, because I do need to know from both of you guys what your perspective is. But it says, wives, in the same way, submit yourselves to your own husband. So I have like 2 questions that came from this.
Let's do it.
How does this apply? How is this applicable to single women? And the first thing I did when I leaned over during a sermon yesterday, I was like, well, what if all of my bosses are male? So like, how does this apply when there is male leadership over women? So I don't know how we're going to unpack this first. Maybe
I'll jump in first.
Okay, yes.
So I think the premise of your second question doesn't, this verse isn't directed to.
Okay.
So you having a male boss or something, like, it's not talking about that at all.
Chapter 2.
It's more chapter 2. Yeah, so whether I was male or female, you would have to submit.
Yes, give honor.
Isn't that fun? So this is specifically, is only for a wife to her husband.
Okay.
So this isn't about a workplace or anything like that. And then the application for a single woman, I think the most direct application is know what you're getting into. Like, this is the biblical mandate of husband and wife relationship. And so if you're going into this marriage saying, well, if he tells me I got to, that's not how we start that relationship. Yeah. So there's got to be kind of like a clear understanding of what the dynamics of marriage is.
So you think it's more of like an example of how you should go into your marriage? Do they have to submit? Do single women have to submit to anyone during this time of, like, should it be their pastor? Should it be
so chapter 2, all in authority.
Okay.
Right? So, like, should a single woman submit if there's somebody that's in authority? Like, that's the biblical mandate. I mean, that's why he starts with all institutions of authority is basically what he's getting at. And he goes to give the example of even to the emperor, and the reason for that is everybody at that time knows the emperor is evil, and Peter's basically saying it doesn't matter if they're good or bad, because sometimes we want to like get out of certain things because we're like, well, that person isn't a good person, so I shouldn't have to submit to them.
Right.
And Peter's like, that doesn't come into play. Like, that's not part of the process. And so, it's whether you're single or married or anything, like, there's this structure of submission.
Yeah. Okay. So,
I think as a single, it can also serve as a really great guide and also for dialogue with a person. So I'm getting to learn what it is. I think like one thing the Bible tries to stress, and I think culture, and sometimes even the church, is like, when these are talking about marriage, it's talking about in Christian marriages. So for me as a Christian believer, understanding that, and then, I need to have dialogue of what submission even looks like. Right. So first starting with my relationship with God, and then let's talk about what submission looks like in a relationship that's not marriage. And so I know there are different levels to different things, like don't treat yourself as someone's wife that's not. But once you start to get into something, say serious, how would a potential husband know that is a trait that you have? And so having the mentorship and being disciple, having open dialogue based off of this guide of what Peter is saying to wives and to husbands, specifically of that. So when I look at that, it's always an opportunity for me to know ahead what I need to be doing. Also to identify and work on some areas of submission that may be hard because I'm not married. So all day I'm like, it's easy to submit, like to a submitted God, a submitted person who is submitted to God, but you don't really know until you're in it. So what as much can I do and be aware of, like based off of these things? So it's going to be hard to hear the word submission if you have a hard time like with submission in the Bible. And for some people, like because it's been abused, like submission is like a trigger, and I'm happy that that's not the case for me, but I'm sure in marriage is going to reveal.
Oh, it's going to reveal. It's gonna
you're not
open.
As submitted as you think you are, girl. Kind of thing.
It's going to tear open doors.
And it really is sad, though, because that abuse of authority has created issues today. Like,
triggers.
It's because of that level of abuse, whether it's husband to wife, pastor to congregant, government to citizenship. Like, it really, man, when there's this abuse, it makes you go, but I don't want to submit to that, and I can't submit to that. And so, honestly, I think it's fun. Carlton and I, we get laughed at sometimes when we talk about how dating is fact-finding mission. Like, you are in data acquisition. Like, that's the whole point of dating.
That's true.
Because, like, in that conversation, the guy should be trying to figure out, okay, is this somebody that I can lead? And the girl should be saying, is this somebody that I can follow? Right? And then the Bible does also, like, and so sometimes guys will start get like a big head, like, oh, I'm the one they got to follow. The Bible also talks about mutual submission to one another. And so like if you are the kind of guy that's lording this over her, like, you're already kind of disqualifying yourself as somebody worthy of being followed. But when you do your job well, when you do the fact-finding well, when you get that good data, when you take the time to find the right person, go through those hard conversations, talk through that stuff, I think that it does actually become really easy. I think if my wife was sitting here, she would attest that this mutual submission, it's easy. It's easy. Like, it's not something that's ridiculous or hard, because she knows that I have her best interest in mind. I know she has my best interest in mind, and so we can submit to each other. And then when there are those moments where it's like, okay, no, this is the direction that we have to go, she says, okay, let's do it then. I trust you. And when you can trust each other in that, like, submission is not a scary or a bad word.
Right.
It's just because of corrupt people and abuse, it's become kind of a naughty word.
But you said a lot of key things. You said the trust factor. So what should women do in marriages where it's like the man has proven to be not trustworthy? Is it still is it still that same requirement to submit, even in those where it's like, I do not trust your leadership, I don't even trust that you have my best interests at hand? Like, how does that look for a woman in that position?
It sucks,
because she still got to submit.
That's the piece that sucks. So the caveat or the out that the Bible does give us is sexual. Like, if this guy has run out on you, leave. You don't have to stay submitted to somebody that has abused the marital bed, as the Bible would describe it. For physical abuse, the Bible does talk about abandonment, and there's no verse that would say, let your husband smack you around and stay in the house. Like, that verse doesn't exist. And so if you are physically threatened, you need to get out of that. And then we did talk about the greater authority. So if listening to your husband isn't going to make you disobedient to God, you don't listen. Like, you don't submit in that case. But outside of those three, I guess.
So there's not like financial abuse, emotional abuse.
All those things exist. The Bible just doesn't give us like in this case. So like, so we could sit here and we could rationalize and talk about some of those things. I mean, the Bible says that if a man isn't providing for his family, like, that dude's a deadbeat. He's a loser. I forget how Paul expresses it exactly, but it's pretty harsh. It's harsh. It's like, that dude is straight up like vile. He's evil. Like, we got to find that verse, see how Paul says it exactly. But I mean, there's definitely room for that conversation. It's just, it's not as like clear cut. What the Bible leaves clear cut is you submit. Like, so it's tough.
I have a cultural question, because I'm wondering. So
I'm great at those.
Yeah. He's like, so you have, yes, God's, the word is made perfect, and he has inspired people to write and share his word. And you also have some things that are cultural. So I just even wonder, like, financial wouldn't even be.
Yeah,
then,
it's
like,
not something that they would have been writing about.
Absolutely, it's not providing or even has the money, or like
And
even
there were
slave
some,
could be considered
right,
at times.
Sorry, cutting you off. Like, there were some exceptions to that at the time, but very, very rare. But like, it was mostly women that were financially supporting Jesus's ministry. Even Paul talks about several women who are supporting him financially. Now, whether or not those women had, careers and jobs and all that, or if they were widows whose husband left them something, the Bible doesn't tell us. It just says, like, these women were supporting the ministry. And so, like, there is a little bit of that, like, financial independence in the Bible, but it is really rare. And culturally at the time, like, it was men worked, women stayed at home. That was just the cultural. So we wouldn't expect the Bible to go into a lot of detail of,
because emotional abuse, please, that's not going to be addressed in the Bible.
And so, like, so there's some things that, because of the culture of the time and the change in culture now, the Bible's just not addressing it specifically. So we have to look at greater principles.
It made me think about when I first got married to David, and he told me I couldn't buy Starbucks like every day when I went to work, and I was like, what? Like, I make money, like I could buy my own. He was like, no, like, we have a budget and you can't go get Starbucks every day. And I'm like, okay. And that's when I knew, like, God was cracking open that submission thing for me, because I have been independent for so long. And
but if you got a tight budget and whoever's, and we're gonna remove the male and female thing. It's usually whoever is managing the budget and whoever's spending the money. It's usually two different people. But, like, so if the person managing the budget is like, okay, we've got to be really tight, or we're not paying the electric bill this month,
right?
And then the other person is going to Starbucks,
every day.
It's like, okay, your Starbucks habit is gonna make us lose electricity in our home. You got to stop it.
I mean, over time, I got better. I submit well now. It's funny now, because I'll be out with my friends and they'll be like, oh, let's go shopping, or I'll text David, like, what's my budget? And out of submission and honor and respect to him, like, or even be like, I'll be out with a friend and I'll be like, can you go here? And I'm like, well, let me let David know. That's like, why is he your dad? And I'm like, no, like, I respect him, and we do have mutual respect there. If he
I'm
was
sure he would tell you the same thing.
Right. So, but it's like in 2025, it's like, no ma'am. I'm not asking no man for anything. So
Soul asks me what the budget is for different things all the time, but it's mainly just because she has no understanding or comprehension of finances, just in general. Like, I love my wife so much, but there have been many times in our marriage where she just, like, even when we were first married, like, so she's from Mexico, so immigrated here when we got married, and so, like, she would literally just, like, hand me, like, coins and stuff, and she's like, how much are these? Like, so, like, even just, like, the comprehension of what denominations are,
right,
it was just way over her head at the time. So
she is a kept woman.
No, I've tried to teach her a few things, but, like, we know, like, if I get hit by a bus, somebody needs to come in and help that woman, because she's gonna have a hard time.
I'm gonna be there.
She's gonna have a real hard time.
But even the setup of communication of, okay, this is based where you are financially. Hey, this is our fun money. So that kind of thing of, like, like, this is my fun money. That kind of thing, and do, like, whatever you want with that. And then we have our, like, let's talk about this kind of purchase and those kind of things that I just hear all the different kinds of dynamics financially of some, hey, this is a card, that's a debit, and, like, spend this. And someone else could be like, what do you mean an allowance? For the month, but most of those people, aren't having a lot of money. So, like, if it was 10,000, you'd be like, oh my goodness. But those kind of things. But
and I know we are making light of it, but I do know people. I know women that I'm very close to where I'm just like, I want to tell them, like, I don't know, like, maybe you should leave, or maybe you shouldn't submit, because it's just tough. Like their marriage is tough, and you know, like the things, the situations that they're being put in because of their spouse. Yeah, it's just hard. It's heavy. Yeah. And so submitting, I applaud women who do that, but I don't know. Like, I'm just so like I'm out.
And that's why I feel like I was thinking about this morning. If more people had counseling and did separation, I think like I feel like most Christians, when they have a really tough time in their marriage, they don't do separation because they're afraid of things, and that's a biblical thing that you do to bring you back together. So even if financially, hey, you keep putting us where we don't have food, or now we can't pay for the kids, whatever it is, kind of like you're not taking God's word seriously, and you're compartmentalizing what is important, and this is bringing devastation, to our home. So we're going to need to get some counseling. And if this doesn't change, we're going to have to do some separation and let come back. I just think most people don't use that principle.
I agree 100%. And probably back to your question earlier about other forms of abuse, like, if you are suspecting that you're in an abusive relationship, whatever that looks like, yes, you need to get to a safe space and you need to get help. Like, counseling is there to help you guys process through this. Sadly, I've had to walk people through even like spiritual abuse, where it's like now the husband is like, well, I know God better than you do, and so he told me that I needed to do this financial thing, and you're like, but I've been managing the budget and that thing doesn't make any sense. And well, you just don't have the relationship with God that I have. And all of a sudden, like, he's manipulating this person spiritually, and it's like that's not okay. And so if you are suspecting that there's any form of abuse, if it's emotional, spiritual, if it's financial, if it's physical or sexual, but even those nuanced areas where the Bible isn't super direct on it, that doesn't mean that we can't get counseling or enact a separation. I think that the biblical mandate would be, separate. Don't divorce. Like, God, the Bible literally says God hates divorce.
I know.
So we don't want to go straight there. But separation with the heart of, hey, let's get some work done. So we can come back together.
That's good.
But you can avoid all of that if you marry somebody that you know really well. If you've done your data finding.
That's true. Adequately. Are you going to write a book on that, data finding, dating edition?
Nah, I'm not a dating guru guy.
I think you got it.
I don't think I'm writing any books, but probably that would be the last one. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I felt like Pastor Jerry could write a book on husbands, because yesterday he was digging into the husbands. I was like, whoo. But I mean, go for it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, that's always my go-to. Like, anytime I'm talking with somebody, like, man, the role of the woman seems so much harder than the role of the man. That the woman's supposed to submit to the husband. And it's like, okay, but there's other verses where the husband's also supposed to submit to the wife. So this kind of feels like almost even, maybe like 51-49%. But that doesn't seem so bad. But our job is to die.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the harder task. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. I am the guy in the room. So obviously I'm biased. But I feel like dying... That's a little bit harder.
Intense.
It's a little more intense. Yeah, lay down your life for her the way Christ laid down his life.
But I think that, well, of course that could be natural, but spiritually as well.
Yeah, 100%. It's a spiritual. It's a figurative. Like, I mean, there are men who have laid down their actual life for their wife, and that's commendable. But it's every single husband should be saying, my life is not as important as your life, and so your dreams, your vision, what you want, what you desire, like, my life is here to help make those things happen. And so I want pizza tonight, you want Chinese, guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna have some Chinese. Right? And the biblical mandate of, like, submit to your husband, like, a husband that's in error would be like, but I'm the man and I said I wanted pizza, so we having pizza.
Right.
Well, you just missed the whole lay down your life part of it.
Right. But he didn't let women off the line because he said you should outserve one another. And so
that competition.
Right. So it's just like, you want pizza? Let's get pizza. No, but you want Chinese? No. And so you spend 20 minutes arguing over pizza or Chinese. And someone has to.
And then you pull out the fast food dice.
Right.
Throw it,
right.
See what
that
it lands
sounds
on.
pretty simple.
Are you excited? Are you looking forward to marriage with all that Pastor Jerry talked about yesterday with husbands? Like, you like.
Yeah. I think I've read the word. Like, I have people in my life, some really great healthy marriages.
Yeah.
Been able to also like learn from other marriages as well, and them, hey, watch out for this. I've been there. Yeah. I am there. Those type of things. So there aren't a lot of things, honestly, that scare me, because I know, man, that submission, something that you were saying, mentors, and it used to be pastors here, John and Rachel, they would talk about, like, I know people talk about arguments, but like, we are not exaggerating. We do not have a lot of arguments because of that submission to God. So even if not understanding some things, you're acting out. So I'm gonna go to the Lord about this because so those kind of things that, like, when you have that constant thing of submission, they're like, you would just be surprised. Like, you may disagree, but arguing, they're just like, so it's on that like, let me do the work now. As much as I can. I still feel like I'm just still gonna be like, you kind of
still doing the work.
Yeah. But there's nothing that no one has ever went through that I know that has made me, oh no, I don't want to be married. Yeah.
That's awesome.
The best marriage verse in the Bible is, don't be unequally yoked. You do that part right, it's a lot easier. So much easier.
Yeah. I tell a lot of the girls that I mentor, like, it's easy to follow a man that loves and follow Christ. Like, it's easy for me to submit to David because I know he don't want to disappoint God.
Right.
So it's not even about me sometimes. I know, like, he's living his life to the best because he don't want to disappoint God. And so that gives me a level of trust and assurance, because it's like, okay, it's really not about me. Because if he was infatuated with me, that can change any day.
Yeah.
It's about how his relationship with Christ is. And so I think that's a winner. Yeah. And which brings me to the verse I wanted to highlight about men's prayers not being answered, because I'm like, woo.
Yeah, that was.
God's going to ignore you.
Right.
He will
Like, you're not treating your wife
you.
right? Why am I going to talk to you?
That seems like.
It was heavy.
That seems heavy.
Your prayers will be hindered. They will not be answered.
So I'm like, how do I'm not in this situation, but I'm thinking about that woman who heard that yesterday, like, he been praying about that job, but I know why God ain't answering.
Prayers hindered.
If that's her attitude, there's some sin going on in her life too. So it's not he's all bad, I'm all good. That reaction would have been like, let's get you guys into counseling.
Yes.
And it makes it like, I need you to get in line because this affects me too.
Yeah, that's true.
So these prayers are being hindered because you aren't honoring God and you're not honoring me. So
how would you encourage a woman if you were counseling a couple where you saw that? Like, how would you encourage a woman to encourage her husband in a space like that without coming down on him?
Man, I have no idea. That's why I'm not a marriage counselor. I would probably send them to Kiana.
Okay.
And be like, Kiana, they need a lot of help. I think in reality, I would need to spend a lot of time with the guy.
Yeah.
I think the challenge, and this is where I love how the Bible is written. What it tells the husband to do is only talking to the husband. Like, you need to do this. It's never saying, wives, you need to get your husband to do this.
Yeah.
And vice versa. When it's giving instruction for how wives are supposed to treat their husband, there's no verse that says, and husbands, you better hold her accountable, and if she doesn't do it, you got to set her straight. No, it's literally, I'm only responsible for my job.
Yeah.
And I'm responsible for my job if or if not, my wife is doing her job. Like, it doesn't really come into play.
Yeah.
And so I would probably actually want to spend more time with the guy,
Discipleship.
right?
Yeah.
To get him to understand, male to male, guy to guy,
Yeah.
than try and give the wife tactics and tips on how you can manipulate your husband into following the Bible.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's good.
That might have been a cheap out from answering your
I mean,
question,
no,
but that's
it totally,
that's the legitimate. Like I don't know that I would have good advice for the wife, but I
Yeah.
would definitely want to take the husband aside.
Okay. I love that approach. Discipleship, I think that's applicable in all spaces, like
Yeah.
even for women, like finding another woman.
Very on brand for
It's
Disciples
it's
Church.
on brand. I love
Right.
our mission. It's so clear. You cannot
clear.
miss it. So yeah, no, that's good. There was a part in verse 4 that I struggled with, I'm not gonna lie, where it says, rather it should be that your inner self, it's talking about the beauty. We're moving into the modesty and the beauty part of the sermon. The beauty of gentle and quiet spirit. Gentle and quiet spirit, which is of great worth in God's sight. Okay, so I remember having this conversation with David, and I was just like, I don't know. Like, of course, I know how to be gentle and quiet, but my personality is just.
Yeah.
So should I become more like, hi guys, how you doing? So what does that look like for a woman who's just like got a lot of personality? Maybe, I don't think I'm loud, but maybe, I don't know, it's subjective. But you said I'm loud? Ruben, did you say I'm loud?
Confession time.
I would drink some water right now if I.
Neither.
You're not loud.
I'm not. I'm
Sits
dramatic.
chai.
I'm dramatic. I wouldn't say loud. But what does that look like for a person with a personality like mine, per se?
Yeah, I think big personalities, you can still have your big personality. That's fine. I think the gentle and quiet spirit is in how you relate to your husband, how you relate even to others, how you interact with the world. Like if it becomes this, I'm going to be loud to draw attention, I'm going to be loud to get my own way, I'm going to be loud so I can shut other people up, like that's not healthy, that's not appropriate, that's not okay. That's where you would need to have that gentle and quiet spirit. But it's not saying that you have to alter your personality. It's just how are you using that personality. If you're the life of the party, cool, that's awesome. But if it becomes prideful, or it becomes like I'm going to elevate myself, like now you're contradicting other verses in the Bible about not doing those things. And so, yeah, I don't think that you have to not be you. You just have to be cautious of motivation and what this ends up portraying or what this looks like.
Yeah.
I think I just think not just even me, I just think about a lot of women influencers, like the new wave of women that we have, very vocal, very, and so.
And that's why, and their husbands too, like, be yourself. You know what I mean? You have a big personality. You are opinionated. Like, I love that about you. And you have that. And that's there. And I think there's something that I'm learning when it comes. Like, I think we underestimate, like, the essence of who we are as women. That what that gentle spirit God said, that it's all intentional. So being gentle of what type of atmosphere that you create, that doesn't mean talking like this or not being heard, but like your gentle spirit probably gives you an authority as the woman that God gave you, to be able to shift your home or, your relationship, like with your spouse, those type of things, and having the patience and control of like, I'm gonna be quiet. This is really, really hard.
Yeah.
This time I'm gonna let you have it. I may not always win in this. I'm gonna let you have it. But just like that, I'm interested to see the more, like, if we see kind of like these beautiful things that God put in us, it's not a weakness, or that he's saying like, women, shut up, which has been abused of those type of things. But like, there's power in your gentleness, that you could be a CEO, you can whomever, and still have that gentle and quiet spirit.
No, that's good.
You should ask that question to Soul. So my wife has a much bigger personality than me, but I would also at the same time describe her as having a gentle and quiet spirit. but she's also she walks in a room
life
and
of the
she's the
party.
life of the party,
Yeah.
and she's boisterous and she's loud, and I'm always like, okay, babe, calm down.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
She's like, all right, babe, bring it up.
Yeah.
like her energy level is usually pretty high, but I think that there's also, she has these moments where like somebody's hurting, and her ability to just connect with them immediately and care for them, like that gentle, quiet spirit, is absolutely fully on display in those moments. And so,
Yeah.
talk with her, figure out what her secrets are, because I don't know.
No, I mean, I feel like, now that you expressed, or went deeper in the definition, I definitely think I can have that gentle, I feel like it's wisdom, wisdom, and when to speak, when to answer. I definitely feel like that, but I was caught up on the gentle and
No,
the personality.
David has walked in our office, and I've said before, your countenance change, when her husband's in the room, she gets gentle. You know what I mean? So I know that, with that, but just
he has a calming effect on you.
He does. He does.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the wisdom piece. It's like, you wouldn't walk into a funeral being like, hey, everybody, how's it going? Look at me. No, you recognize time and place and how this is going to be perceived and all that. So yeah.
So okay,
Wisdom.
I'm good. I'm okay.
You're all right.
I'm good.
You are absolutely loud though. Come on, girl.
I'm loud.
How could you possibly
Ruben.
sit here right now?
Ruben, we're gonna have a talk.
Show of
after
hands.
this.
Taisha, loud. 4 out of 4.
How?
4
what
out of
makes me
4
loud?
in the room.
My voice.
You just elevate your voice, and you get.
It's not me. It is not.
Obnoxious.
Yeah, I was gonna say not obnoxious.
Not obnoxious, no.
How did this? You
But
see?
we know that you're here.
Has this become an intervention?
But
You
I
see?
understand it because of what it could be associated with.
Yeah.
Carlton said one day to me that I'm loud. Either I'm talking too low, or I'm talking too loud, and it's I can hear you down the hallway. I'm like, what are you trying to say? I'm like, well, I'm not aggressive, and that's what I
I'm
took
not-
it as
yeah.
is aggressive.
Yeah, I'm not aggressive.
Yeah, there's different categories.
Let's move on to watch your words, everyone. Let's move on to watch your
We're gonna skip over sympathize with one another.
No, watch your
we don't want any.
words.
We don't want any sympathy.
Okay.
She's like, you lost my sympathy when you said I was loud.
I'll take it. I am who
So watch
I
your
am.
words.
Watch your words.
As the brother, here's my joke, Will Smith, the clean version, keep my wife's name out of your mouth. Those kind of things of watching your words.
I thought you were saying that about Brent. I'm like, Brent said that.
No.
Keep my wife's name.
It's become this iconic thing that people say,
Yeah.
keep my name,
Keep my wife's name out your mouth.
out your mouth.
Yeah.
What?
Nothing. You missed it culturally.
I didn't. I got it.
Okay. It's okay.
She's just practicing that gentle and quiet spirit.
Maybe it just wasn't funny.
No, you were
I'll
funny. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, thank you all for joining us for this episode of Between Sermons. I don't know what happened.
I know. It's maybe a little too cheesy.
I'm about to get on a plane to fly to the
it was
Philippines. I don't know what's going on.
No. I didn't miss. I kind of missed it, but that's because I was trying to think of prepare my answer, but it wasn't because that wasn't funny. That was good.
It's okay.
No,
Someone will
it's
come up to me. You guys call me cheesy.
No, so we
It
do
is
have
what
a
it
joke
is.
in our office that
Pretty and I are-
and Tiff are the cheesy, but I get it. It just takes
Okay.
me a while. I'm gonna laugh at it tonight.
All right, so we're going to watch our words
We're gonna watch our
so
words.
that Will Smith doesn't slap us.
Yes.
So that's what I was trying to make. Okay, anyway, so let me read the scripture. That'll set us all right.
That'll help.
The eyes of the Lord watch over those who do right, and his ears are open to their prayers. But the Lord turns his face against those who do evil. So this passage to me I really like it because I don't want to say I really like it. So God is sovereign and he knows all things. So are we saying there are evil people in the world who just do evil and they are evildoers? So we're saying this. So I guess I'm trying to get to the point.
From just for clarity, from God's perspective, that would be 100% of the human population.
Yeah, that's all of us. Huh?
That's all of us. Because that's the danger sometimes is
Pointing
who's
out.
defining evil.
Yeah.
If we get to define evil, then it's like Hitler and then like maybe a handful of other people, that's evil. Me cheating on my wife, that wasn't evil, that was like a mistake that I made. Or, you know, me stealing something, that's not really evil because nobody really got hurt. Like it's just, so if we get to define evil, we set the boundaries a little bit looser. When God determines evil, it's anything outside of his goodness, his perfection.
Which is kind of like answer the question that I was kind of trying to pose. The point I was trying to make is like, man, can we just intentionally point out evildoers, and can we kind of like exclude ours? Because evil is such a heavy word. Like, we sin, but evil, like that's another level. So do you think he's talking about sin in general, or is it like that evil word where it's like people are planning and plotting to do wrong to people?
Yeah, that's interesting. I would probably have to do a deeper dive study into this. This is the downside of I didn't preach chapter 3, so I haven't gone as deep in all of it as I have in some of the others. I do think that there probably are categorical differences between the general evil of the world that I just described and somebody who's like going out of their way to do those things. So like the believer who's committing a sin versus the unbeliever that's attempting to murder, like there's different levels of that, I guess. I think that what he's really getting at here is probably more of those who are trying to be in Christ, doing what Christ wants, versus those who are outside. That's the distinction I would probably give it, but again, I need to do deeper study.
So I do like how Pastor Dre was like, you know, talked about like not repaying evil for evil and things of that nature. Have you ever been in a situation where you was like, God, keep me here because I want to repay this person for what they've done to me? And how did you kind of navigate that space? So what's some like application you can give?
I think that's something simple that we do as a culture that we aren't even thinking about as much is social media. So it's really easy, like, to, if someone says something, to then repost something or say something in response, you know, to it, or say be petty. So if someone posted something, now I get to,
Clap
or that,
back.
and that's one of the harder ones. Like, I could
back.
easily respond to this because it's so not true, or false representation, or whatever the thing is, of like, you can add to that of like, okay, backspace, you know what I mean? Because and that's where I see it happen, say like more in my life, of those little things of like, I could really say respond to this than like having these big situations where like, Lord, you're gonna have to keep me. I feel like this constant thing of letting the Lord, he will vindicate, even if there's nothing that you're going to be able to say or even explain for someone else, because it's not your place to say explain. But I just feel like it's so easy on our fingers to just give a little petty clap back or say something subliminal or kind of like passive.
No, I've been seeing that a lot, just given the climate of what's going on. I've had a lot of conversations with friends, and I'm like, girl, you need to guard your heart, because what you're seeing on social media, or how you feel like someone should have, addressed this or did this, it's like, it's all distractions, and it's, it's pulling you away from what's really important. And so I feel like it's a matter of guarding your heart at all times in whatever situation, or if you feel like someone did you wrong or there was offense there, I would pause and be like, okay, what's the bigger issue here? Pray.
Yes.
And if you need to respond, because sometimes
absolutely
there is situations where you need to respond to something, but I think you should also let that be led by prayer.
There's been times when I wanted to bring correction, but the way I was phrasing the correction wasn't really correcting anything. It was just
making it worse.
Yeah, it was just a clapback. It was just you know
how to do it professionally.
So it's definitely one of those where, honestly, for me, a lot of the time, if I'm not in a place that I can bring proper correction, and it is just going to be a gotcha moment or a haha, what an idiot, I can't believe you thought that or said that, here, let me prove you wrong.
Yeah.
Like if I'm leaning towards that and I can't just bring correction without emotion or anything, I just close out the app.
Close it out.
If it's a social media thing, like, it's just close it out, or I'll walk away from the conversation. We got an email, the church did, last week. He forwarded it on to me from somebody, and is like, man, I could have responded to all kinds of fun things in that. And in the back of my head, I started processing through, okay, how can I tear out this, and how can I correct them on that? And it was just like, you know what, the emotion that the person had writing this, they weren't in a space where they were going to hear any kind of explanation or defense. And so it was one of those where it's like, yep, we received the email. That doesn't mean that we need to respond to it. And so there's a lot of times when we have to choose whether to get involved or to stay out. And so for me, that rule is I get involved when I can do it without it becoming pride or arrogance or a cutting remark. If I can say it without trying to make them feel worse or belittle them, then I'll say it. If I can't, or if it's questionable, then I won't. And I'm praying that, maybe God's going to, in a couple of days, God will calm me down and I'll be able to respond to them in that moment, and I will. Or, man, maybe they just need somebody else to come alongside and bring the correction that they need. So.
And that's good. And I think it goes into that sympathy, like sympathizing with one another, because the verse that was used is, do not repay evil for evil or insult with insult. On the contrary, repay evil with blessings. Because to do this, we're called to that we may inherit blessings. So watching your words and using sympathy is like, it goes hand in hand.
And what Peter basically says right there is you're called to be a blessing to people. Like that's your job in their life, is to bless them. And so don't ruin your calling by cursing them instead of blessing them.
Yeah. You use a lot of wisdom. I promise you. You and Pastor Soul, I be watching the way y'all do things. So the moment you slip up, no, I'm just playing. But it is.
I opt out of a lot of conversations.
Yeah.
And you could call that cowardice, and maybe it is. I just know that I'm not in a emotionally or spiritually mature enough place to have some conversations.
Yeah.
So I opt out. I think it's just safety. Because the reason why, and I think we've talked about this on the show before, like my childhood, like I was the guy that I could win any fight with my words. I was a small guy. I was tiny guy until I joined football team and bulked up a little bit. I was never going to win a physical altercation up until that moment. But it didn't matter. You want to bully me with your fists? Man, I will make you cry and pee your pants based on the things that I say to you right now. Like I learned how to manipulate and use words in order to do damage. And that was my default setting. It was, if I started to get intimidated, if somebody started to make me feel less than, I'd immediately go into a cutting remark. And I watched myself, or if I look back and I've seen how I did that junior high, high school, like all those years. And so now as an adult, I'm like, man, it'd be so easy for me to just slip right back into that. Like, that shower dialogue you have?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Man, my shower dialogue, like I have to put on worship music because that shower dialogue, man.
I told you can have a conversation with yourself. That was just like
and it's in its meekness and self-control, because people have no idea the type of clapback
that you can
could just rip from, you know what I mean? And it's going to sound intelligent. No cuss words. But that type of but what's the benefit?
Is it helping or hurting?
Right. And then I'm going to be convicted after it. Great. Now the Holy Spirit's convicted me. I've stepped outside of my character. Now I got to apologize for something you did to me. So
that's very true. I do not like when that happens. But
I feel sorry.
I feel like that's been
Shouldn't have said that.
I know. What? I know.
That's the Holy Spirit.
Yes. I do not like. I know that's one of the things I worked through this year. I think it's been a learning thing. It's like, I'm gonna have to learn. I don't have to respond to this because my response is not gonna be good.
Yeah.
So, because then you have to apologize later, and it ain't even your fault. It's just someone got you riled up, and now you're there, and you shouldn't have responded in the first place.
And I blame social media for where we are with a lot of these things, because there's some thoughts that people had in their head that they never articulated, but now that they got a phone in their hand, they're articulating all kinds of thoughts thoughts, and you're like, well, that's just a dumb thought.
Yes.
Very dumb.
But yeah, we used to keep those things private. Now we publicize them.
We
and
need-
it's so much fun.
Community needs to step in. I think it's time for a community to step in and be like, sis, I think you should remove that post.
Yes, delete it.
We need to start doing some policing so that we can get more.
Have fun with that. I'm just gonna stay out.
I know.
I don't trust myself to do it the right way.
You know, okay. So as we, start concluding this conversation, I like that he ended this part of the letter with always be ready, and then our response to God. So what the question I have for always be ready is, what makes it hard for us to talk about our faith with gentleness and respect, like given, I would say, now in this climate, what's going on in 2025, what makes it hard for us to talk about and defend our faith? Because everybody's kind of got their own perspective of what God is saying. And for me, it makes me quiet a little bit, because I'm like, I don't want to be a part of the noise.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And everyone, like, I think I said this before, everyone's kind of idolizing their opinion right now. And so it's not that I don't know scripture. It's not that I don't want to, defend my faith. But in this time, I just feel like I'm just going to stay out of it. Like, it seems like everybody got their things that they're saying. I'm just going to stay out of it. So how should we do that in 2025, I guess, or now in this climate? Not you looking at Tiff.
I feel like I kept answering first, and I don't want to be that guy. So,
how to? I think that, so one, you have cancel culture, and you have the broad one, but you also have within relationships that it's become so micro that even say in that cancel of like, but this is what I believe, like the scripture says. So that fear of cancellation from community, those type of things that can cause us to be quiet. I think also the challenge also is biblically, you don't always know that you're correct. So if you have friends that are, some of my friends that are not believers say anymore, they are well versed in just life and statistics and those different things, and it can cause you to pause because you don't know what's an eloquent way to say defend the faith type of thing, and then become more quiet until you have to. So I feel like now with everything's happening in culture, I am having to trust, one, that there is a strong foundation in conversations that, like, I'm actually going to have to speak up, say, like, about this war. I'm saying, well, if you want to read the Bible about it, even if we read it together, because I know there's things that may be triggered, well, I don't want to read the Bible. Well, I don't really know what else to tell you about God if you are not interested in the Bible. So now I have to think through, well, okay, let me make sure that my life is lining up to the word. But I think, I think that we're just probably more afraid of being canceled. And if we were, say, to look like outside of ourselves within the church, like more people will want to know about the good news than we think. But that first step of just not doing it, like if we did it more, we would be excited about the fruit and the outcome that happens from it. But that first step, I think it's kind of decreasing. So I'm talking to a bunch of Christians all the time.
I mentioned earlier, that's one of my favorite verses. It is the apologetics verse, always be ready, but do so respectfully. I think that there's kind of two aspects to that. So the do it respectfully part, I think it's challenging for us today because of our passion. Everybody's passionate, right? And so you're passionate about your truth. They're passionate about what they believe is true.
Right.
And so now when you're bringing these ideas like that becomes a powder keg, right, of emotion and all of that. And so we do have to, like, breathe, calm down a little bit. Like, if we're going to do these things respectfully, we do have to have the passion to do it. I'm not saying we'd get rid of passion, but we just have to keep passion in check in those conversations. Like I even notice myself, like if I'm talking about something I'm really passionate about, my voice gets louder, I get more expressive, I get a little more in your face, and it like, okay, calm down, breathe, relax. Okay, yes, you're passionate about this thing, and we should be passionate as Christians. Like what we have is life and death, right? And if we have the answer to eternal life, like, man, why won't we share that, right? We should be passionate about this. And so then the other aspect of it that you didn't really ask about, but I want to throw it in there anyways, they always be ready. I think there's too many Christians that have just accepted what they have been told, and they don't know any of the arguments why we believe what we believe. They just say, well, this is what we believe as Christians, and I'm a Christian, so this is what I believe.
And it doesn't cut it.
That doesn't cut it anymore.
No.
It probably cut it for a long time, but now with the internet, now with all the, like, man, TikTok theology is terrifying. Like the number of things I've scrolled by and heard somebody just like completely tearing apart the Bible with all this data and facts and stuff.
Yeah.
But I know where the data and facts that they're pulling out came from, and like I know that they're misrepresenting it. I know because I've studied, right? And so like I can watch this video and be like, that guy's an idiot. But I go in the comments and a bunch of people are like, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa. Like, that
Bible
study
literacy.
he just quoted, like, that's not even what that study like, here, pull up the actual original.
Yeah.
It doesn't even say what he just said it says. Right? And so, like, it's easy when you have the information, when you know the stuff. But we're in a place now where unless you educate yourself, unless you actually hear something from somebody and go, okay, is there truth to that?
Yeah.
Or are they manipulating it? And this goes for across the board. And I've said this from our stage before, like, just because I say it doesn't mean you should believe it, right? Like, look into it. Like, read this for yourself. That's the greatest thing in the world, is the fact that you have the Bible in your hands and you can read it. And because of technology, you can actually research and look into these arguments. And I mean, you start small. What's the biggest question you have about Christianity? What's the hardest thing for you to accept? For a lot of people, it's going to be the problem of evil. For others, it's going to be creation and origin. And there's all kinds of science that is like, is this at odds with what the Bible says, how the world began? Whatever your question is, start there. Get answers. Find out what people are saying. And I think that with YouTube, with AI, with the internet in general, like, the answers are there. So there's no excuse for Christians to not be ready. And so I think that's where, like, I get passionate about apologetics, because I think it's necessary for every believer to know why they believe what they believe, so that when somebody says, yeah, but that didn't even happen that way, you can say, well, actually, let me pull up some resources that actually prove that it is. You know, when somebody says, yeah, but the Bible's been changed, you can say, well, actually, you know, we have this manuscript evidence that we can actually trust the authenticity of Scripture to this day, because we can actually go back to 2nd, 3rd, 4th century documents that it's the same as it is today. When somebody tries to pull the whole, you know, but the Bible's been translated, and then translation has been translated, and it's this game of telephone. And I have that conversation all the time. It's like, by the time you get to the English, it's already been translated through German and through Latin and through Greek and it's like, you don't even understand how translation works. Nobody's doing that. There's no English translation of the Bible that's based off of the German translation of the Bible. It doesn't exist. You know why? Because we have the Greek, so you go from Greek to English. That's the translation step. Like, so this whole telephone game thing, a comedian first presented that as a gotcha moment. It was literally a comedian as a joke, and now it's become like an atheist like manifesto. Like, this is it's the game of telephone. That was a joke. Like, it's still a joke today, because that's not how translation works. But there's Christians out there, and there's former Christians out there that heard that argument from somebody and was like, oh man, you're right, we can't trust the Bible. So always be ready. You gotta study this stuff, research, listen, hear, study. Takes work.
Man, so that's really what that always be ready piece really means, is like, study the Word of God for yourself. And that's, I even feel like once you study, and I feel like you could confidently have these conversations. It's not you have the passion, but it's not an arrogance in it, because it's like, I've studied.
Yeah.
I really want you to understand this passage and what it really means.
And you still have to be so careful with it, because like that's my issue. So now when I hear somebody make that argument, I have to catch myself from rolling my eyes, because like I know it's a bad argument.
Yeah.
But they don't know it's a bad argument. They don't know.
Yeah.
And they fully are convinced of it. How can I lovingly and gracefully, carefully say, hey, that's an interesting argument you bring up. Why don't we look into the validity of that?
Yeah. One thing I think would be cool, I was having this flashback when I was younger in the first church that I went to. There was kind of like active on the ground kind of outreach. And I'm like, if that is probably maybe a lost art of on the ground kinds of things. Like, it's scary. But went out like in say groups and get into practice. Maybe that like there are some groups of like, we're going to actively practice that type of space of evangelism to know how, like, what opportunities are you getting to kind of do that. And that would help maybe some of the jitters, like we're less social as a society, like those kind of, so many boundaries or barriers in your head of like how to even get there. But just some like, let's do some practices and exercises. Let's go in the city, because people don't walk around in the suburbs. So as much as you love these suburbs,
we do with our dogs.
With your dogs, are you evangelizing to your dog?
We do.
Anywho, but those type of practices of things that help. Yeah. Because I'd be nervous.
Yeah.
But then there's an opportunity, like, oh, I get to pray for someone. I wasn't expecting that. Yeah. Then conversation. Then someone wants to give their life to the Lord. Like,
yeah. I think that is the healthy way to practice, that. But unfortunately, we are living in a digital age where people stay behind the computer screens and they stand on 10 toes when it comes to their wrongness. So you're like, oh my gosh. And that's why I say out. That's why I be out. I'm like, I'm not getting into this because they want to be right.
What's the phrase? Confidently wrong?
Right. You are confidently wrong. And I don't have the energy to go back and forth here. I don't feel the conviction. God is not leading me to do it. But if you are a believer and you are feeling like God is telling you to speak out, I think staying ready, hearing, like reading the scripture, really understanding what it means is a good place to start.
Good.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and land this plane.
Okay.
So what we like to do, and you've been on here before, we like to give our takeaways of what this message, what's something we can leave with people as they walk away from this conversation. We can start with Pastor Brent if you need to think on it, because he always ready.
Because my spouses.
My takeaway this time, and it is a spouse one, and it's funny because I heard my dad do it before. I probably even heard Gary Smalley talk about this before, but it's one of those things I've heard my dad say so many times that now I don't know if I just always heard it from dad or if I heard it from Smalley first. But the whole Stradivarius, the whole piece, like that's one of those things where like I want to appreciate my wife in a greater way. And
honor. That's
honor
what
her.
it was.
Yep. And I want to make sure that I'm doing that, not just in like those big moments of I love you, thank you for doing this kind of moments, but just every day, just she walks in the room, like what's my response to her walking in the room? And so that was my conviction on Sunday. It was like I need to do more for her right as I leave her for 10 days to fly to the Philippines.
You have 10 days to get it
so hopefully
together.
I still remember in 10 days.
Come back. I'm going to remind you.
Back.
That's my sister. I'll remind you.
Schedule a text right now.
Stradivarius.
Today,
I don't know how to spell Stradivarius.
How do you spell it? Vocal production team, since you're so vocal about me. No, I'm just playing.
Stradivarius. I think a takeaway from this chapter for me, and because like it is targeted, say, to spouses, like anytime there are passages in the Bible of sharing what husband or wife or different roles or those kind of things, it really, I do walk away of, okay, how do I prepare myself more? And how to be like looking out, like those things, even it could be from like this fantasy land, but I really do look forward to the awareness of just how imperfect I am. You know what I mean? If that, and it could, and again, I'm not married, and you'd be like, girl, what you're saying is actually really like Disney. But it's just such a great example of the church. And so when I read these different things, that takeaway for me is I'm able to take that. I think open dialogue with the word helps so much, and how to pre-plan and have those conversations say ahead. Yeah, that's my takeaway.
Yeah. No, that's good. It kind of lends to what I'm just getting in general from First Peter. And the takeaway is like we do all of these things because we have Christ as an example first. And so I feel like even Peter's heart with writing this letter is to just remind us as believers, like, who's your father, right?
Yeah.
Let's model him
Yeah.
in these different spaces. So, I mean, in this part of the letter, he's just talking about husbands modeling Christ, like you're sacrificing because this is how Christ sacrificed for the church, kind of leaning to what you were saying. And so that's my
and
biggest...
there is more to the chapter than just husband and wife is like the first like 5 or 6
right
verses.
now there's a lot of
like, there's it goes beyond just husband and wife,
right, husband and wife, but in this particular space, like we were talking about husband and wives, and then watching your words, and then all of those things, like even in chapter 2 was like the boss and like your boss, the honoring your boss and people in authority, like all of it, like his whole letter is really like we're modeling Christ. So like that perspective of it is something that just keeps standing out to me. Like, a lot of these things is going to challenge us to grow, but ultimately we want to be more like Christ. So
well, part of the premise of First Peter is you've been born again, so live like it. And so this chapter is very application heavy for what does it look like to live as this new creation. You've been born again. Now here's some new ways to live, and part of that is how you treat your spouse. Part of that is what you do with your words. So good times.
So we've been having a ball on this show, as you can tell. We get real with you guys, but that's because we love you, and we want to bring you into our conversation. So let us know if you've been enjoying the conversation, and until next time, next week we'll be diving into chapter 4. If you have any questions, let us know, but watch the message from yesterday, from Sunday's message with Pastor Jerry. It was amazing, an amazing message. And until next time, we love you. See you soon.
Bye.